Welcome to Journey On, everybody. It's another very special episode where you get more than just Pastor Karl and Jim. We have
Right.
Fargo's Amy with us once again. Hey, Amy, how you doing?
Hi, good.
Good, excellent.
Yep.
Before the show conversation, and we got to see one cat and one dog so far, and
Yeah.
we're hoping for more. We always love having special guests, and for our guests to have special guests as well. So we're here to talk about everything that's happening with Journey Fellowship, and first off, of course, we have to talk about food. Let's get this
Yeah.
out of the way right away. We had the potluck in Bismarck, and
Hmm.
it was fiesta themed, so we had the tacos. Well, you had a choice. You could make a taco or a burrito. Uh,
Nachos.
there was nachos. You could do all the things with all the things, and there was soups and desserts and fantastic food. And while we were doing the food, we actually had a presentation by
Yeah.
some of our family. They talked about
Yep.
some mental health from a Christian's perspective.
Hmm.
And,
It's
and I
awesome.
thought there were some interesting thoughts. And
Yeah.
did we record that? Oh, you know what? I take it back. Yes, we recorded that, and it is available on
Correct.
on Facebook or on Facebook, YouTube on our YouTube channel. Sorry, I know I deer in the headlights look from Karl like, you're talking about the inner tubes. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You went computer on me again.
Yeah, let me just backtrack all of that. Yes, it's out there. Yes, it's
Okay,
available.
good.
You can search it out for sure. And so anyway, that's what's been happening. We've had some what an amazing summer and fall we've had. We've had some
Yeah.
great activities together. We've had people visiting from both locations,
Hmm.
and we're continuing on with our series, Inquiring Minds.
Inquiring Minds.
Yeah, so it's the question. I wrote it out because you put it in an interesting way. So it's the questions answered, the questions questioned, and the answers questioned. I think that's kind of what I took from what you were talking about this last weekend, right?
Okay.
Because we're asking each other, others are asking
Yep.
us, and the what I think is really cool with the growth aspect that we have with this series is questioning the questions and
Sure.
answering the questions and questioning the answers and all of that being
Yeah.
put together because we went into this last weekend with how can we trust the Bible,
Right.
and there's it's kind of that full circle thing, right? We trust it because
Sure.
it is, and for me it's always come down to faith, and that can be an easy answer or a really difficult answer, because the easy answer is, well, I believe it because I believe it. That's the
Yeah.
beginning and the end of the story. And then also because my brain sometimes works against me, I can get stuck
Right.
in the cycle
Right.
of yeah, but that's circular, and
Circular thinking. Right.
what else is out there? And there is a lot more out there. We've talked all about that.
Hmm.
Check the last few messages for anybody that wants to catch up. If you have missed, this series has really been building on that idea of how can we have confidence in our faith. That's kind of what I've been really diving into with the messages that I'm hearing, and maybe others are
Yeah.
taking other things away from it as well.
I think that you're exactly right. The big questions that people ask Christians,
Mm,
because there's questions that we ask as Christians when we're reading through and things pop up. We're like, oh, I better answer that, right?
mm,
I think when people ask us, does God exist? How can you trust the Bible? How do you know when you're hearing from God? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? All
mm,
those questions. Um, what they're really saying, what they're really asking us is, so why do you believe what you
mm,
believe?
mhm.
Right? And I think we do need to be ready not to defend our faith so
Huh.
much, but explain our faith. Because to be honest, people are coming at you with those questions for, I think maybe you could boil it down to one or two reasons. They're either trying to prove you wrong. They're coming in with a pre uh a, would it be a presupposition? Yeah,
Ooh,
right. And so I
presupposition.
think so.
5 syllables. That's a record for this show.
Thank you very much,
Yes, excellent.
Amy.
Well
We
done.
raised the bar. Good luck, Ames. Um, but they're coming in trying to prove you wrong. And I'll be honest. I'll still talk with those people.
Mhm.
Uh, love talking. I love talking Bible. Love talking gospel. Love talking Jesus. Um, but our time may be better suited to those people who are coming in asking us because they're searching. And
Mm,
those people who are really looking for answers, I mean, we want to give them the best answers. And because Jesus said so is a great answer. And I would say in a lot of times it's accurate, but
mhm.
sometimes they need more than that.
Right.
And that's
And
we talked about this last week and was, yeah, Jesus says,
mhm,
I believe in the Bible, you should too. That's great for Christians, but what about non-Christians? Who's
mhm.
Jesus? Why do we believe him?
Right.
So that's yeah.
And I feel like I'll never have a full enough answer to convince someone of something, right? That's
Right.
the Holy Spirit needs to do some work, and I
Right,
really
right, right.
appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for the extra work on that because it's more than I can
Yeah.
handle. And it's
Yep.
interesting you talked about the defense people that
Mm,
are trying to uh, cause us to be in a defensive posture. And I think that's where a lot of debate comes from, and where man, I so shy away from that. I don't like conflict to begin with. It's something I've worked on professionally in the business world. Conflict is important, and also I believe relationally it's important that
sure.
we can't just always agree with each other, or we're just one boring person. It's really boring if we all agree all the
Right.
time. So,
Right.
debate is important, and some people
Yeah.
are better at it than others. And I feel like maybe one day God will call me to be able to debate at that level and to, recall
Sure.
why this is the way it is. But the one thing that I do have right now, two things, I have the Holy Spirit and I have the Word. So
Yeah.
when I get a question that I don't know the answer to, and I'm waiting, I would love for someone to bring that question. It's happened a few times. I would love to have the question come up that we can sit down together and talk
Yeah.
it through. And I think there's a lot of that in what we're doing. Contradictions was another thing that I
Oh,
heard you
sure.
talk about this last weekend.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and this you talked about this too. We can find problems if we're looking for them.
Sure.
We can look through the Bible and find a thing that says this and a thing that says the exact opposite, and we're commanded to do both. And how do we deal with that? And for me, as a, again, logical thinker, I'm the Vulcan of the group. I
Mm,
want to nothing about feelings. Let's talk about
mhm.
logic. And okay, that conflicts, so therefore all of it is untrue. If we're looking for that, we can find that. Now, if we step back and look at context and use discernment and
Right.
and again, it goes back to faith, yes, but it's not helpful just to find problems. And I know there are people that do that generally in life, and I've been there where I was responsible to find problems. Like I've had jobs before where that was my
Wow.
like I have to find the problems here, and
Sure.
it was not fun, and I don't do that job anymore. So
Oh, there you go.
there's not a positive reason. To what end? Why are we raising doubts just to cause discontent and discomfort? It doesn't seem
Sure.
logical. That doesn't seem logical to me. I would much rather lead the easy life that has faith behind it. And and I can point to this book. And if somebody really is interested, if somebody says, I don't believe the Bible, do you want to? Because we have other resources that can help you do that. And I think that's
Yeah.
been really helpful through all this as well.
I think you're right. And I think when somebody says, I don't believe the Bible, one of our first questions maybe could be, have you read it? Have you read it?
Mhm.
And what are and then maybe some other questions because a lot of times when someone's coming with I don't believe the Bible, they're going to fall into a couple different camps and they're all pretty easy camps to navigate. The big one is how can I believe a book that's been translated and reinterpreted and translated and reinterpreted over thousands of
Mhm.
years? It can't possibly be even close to what the original was, thinking that, like we said this weekend, it's a modern day version of the telephone game that we all played in third
Mhm.
grade. Well, it's not,
Mhm.
and we talked about that. It's accurate, and it's even accurate now when we're finding even more material from that ancient times, and we're
Right.
comparing it to what we have written, and it's spot on.
Mhm.
It's spot on. So, and that for us, that goes back to the fact that God is behind it.
Right.
Well, yeah, God doesn't. And I do want to, one other thing too, and I'm not trying to bust your chops, and I surely don't want to debate you because I also shy away from debate. But you said, the Bible, if you're looking for, and now that I'm saying it the way you said it, it does make sense. If you're looking for things that say the exact opposite, you'll find them. And
Mhm.
I'd be really careful how, it's not that I want to disagree with you, but things can
Right.
seemingly say the opposite things.
Yes.
But
Yes.
when we exactly like you said, look at context,
Right.
look at the original language and so on and so forth, we find out that they're complementary, not
Mhm.
contradictory. And so I'm sorry I wasted 2 minutes. You were exactly right. I just wanted to,
Yeah, well, to
um,
expand on that, and I want to make it clear, and I'm glad you said that because that could be misunderstood.
yeah,
I just think it's important. I in a meeting situation, I consider myself to be an elephant hunter. This is something where I think we see something that is so big and we try to shy away from it and just pretend it
sure.
doesn't exist. It's true that if someone really wants to find something that contradicts another thing in the Bible, they can readily do it, especially you go to the internet and you can type in uh,
Oh my gosh.
any story and someone will find a reason why, well, that can't possibly be true, and here's why
Right.
not.
Right.
So let's just put that out there and say that, yeah, you can do that if you want. If you get joy from that, I would challenge where that joy is coming from.
Yeah, no kidding.
What are you getting out of that? And let's have that conversation because and I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I'm saying that as a guy that's been there and am continuing to recover from that sometimes on a daily basis. So
Sure.
we're all here in this fight together. So let's
Yeah.
all head in the same direction if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I agree. Amy?
Sounds good.
Okay, good.
We've
Amy's on
been
board.
we've been
She's
at
just
not
patiently waiting her turn.
Yep. Well, I was gonna say the word accused. That's not necessarily true, but okay, let's just use it for the sake of argument. Carl and
Okay,
I have been accused of talking a lot. And sometimes it's hard to get a word in
that's true.
between us trying to talk with each other. So, Amy, did you have any thoughts on how we can trust the Bible that you wanted to share with us?
I did not, but I'm glad I was sitting down when you shared that tidbit that you guys have been accused of talking a lot, because otherwise I maybe would have been floored. Except I know you both well enough to know that that's exactly.
Okay, all right. I was
Yeah.
about to say that's the first lie that we've had on the show, but you covered it well, so thank you for that. All right, so we're continuing on this coming week with Inquiring Minds, and our guest speaker is, drum roll please, Amy. Yes, Amy from Fargo will be, and will you be live in Bismarck also? I love asking the question.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we talked about this in the board meeting that we had last evening, which um, brings me back. Okay, okay, well, pin in this. I want to sidestep a little bit.
Okay, I'll
When
try
we
and
have
help.
the meetings when we get together, is there a way that we communicate that information out to our to the fellow church folks? I think usually here's okay. Let me answer my own question.
All
The way that
right.
we communicate it out is in our actions. Like if we
Right.
decide to do something, we go
Yeah.
forward with how we're doing it. Conversations are usually, from what I'm experiencing now that I'm a board member, is we're talking about the ideas on things that we might want to do down the road,
Right.
any decisions that need to be made that
Right.
maybe involve both locations on a bigger scale. Any ideas that we have and how we can continue to grow together as individuals in
Right.
the church. So, from that perspective, my answer that I'm giving myself is yes, in the actions that we do. And if you ever have questions about what's happening, you can
Right.
also always talk to any of the board members
Any
and
of the board members.
Carl,
Yeah.
and we're happy to do that. Okay, now that I've taken the
Wow,
5 minutes,
that was
yeah,
I feel like I was here for that, but I
yeah.
wasn't needed for that.
Oh, you
But
know
yeah,
what?
I'm glad I was here.
Let me wrap up that segment. Jim, that was a fantastic question. Thank you, Jim. And your answer was well thought as well. So now that
Yeah.
we've completed that formal part of this show, let's move on, please, to what Amy will
I
be
just feel
talking about this coming Saturday and Sunday.
Can
Yes.
I just interject before we get too far? I just feel like next week the Jim and Carl show Journey On is going to be you with the sock with some glasses on the sock, and that's it. I won't even be involved anymore. But
This
it'll
is
still be fantastic, so I'm okay with that.
This is Smallhead, Pastor Carl. You could just take the week off,
There
actually.
you
We got
go.
it under control. Okay,
Oh
Amy,
man.
I remember that time I said we don't stop talking. We just
Mhm.
needed to prove that. So, Amy, what you got coming up for us, please?
Yeah,
Save us from
please.
ourselves.
We are going to tackle a challenging question. Not that they haven't been challenging up to this point, but I think this might be on the harder end of the spectrum of questions. Is why do I gotta say it right? Why do bad? Nope. Why do good things happen to bad people? Which you could say it the other way. Why do bad things happen to good people, or good things
Yeah,
happen to bad people, or flip them around however you need to, because
right.
you can think of it both ways. But so that's the main question that started whatever we're going to talk through this week.
Whatever we're going to talk through, I love it. And as always, we're doing this. Oh, two things. Here I go again. We didn't record last week. For those that are looking for the show from last week, I was out of town, and then I was ill, and then it was the weekend, and we
Yep.
did the things that we were going to do anyway. So thanks for those that stuck around and asked about it. And then this week we're doing it on Monday evening, and that puts the pressure on the person that's putting together the message, whether it's Karl or any of our guests. Sometimes we don't know. We're lucky to have the title sometimes. The title might
Yeah,
even change
right.
by the time
Right.
we get to the weekend. So no pressure on whatever it is we're going to talk about. But I know, and I agree, Amy, that's a tough subject. Why do blank things happen to blank people? Why does God allow
Hmm.
bad things, right? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the all of, and you're going to answer all of that. In the pre-show, you said you've got one sentence that's going to answer all of it. And I warned, don't say it now. People got to show up.
Yeah.
Got to show up, but you're going to be able to give this and yeah, tongue in cheek. I know you're not giving the definitive answer that people can stop going to church and say that they're perfect, right? Or
Yeah.
are you? Or are you?
No,
Okay, all right.
absolutely not.
I didn't mean to
No.
put words in your mouth. And anything that you'd like. So if we're talking about bad things happening to good people, there's a book of the Old Testament that comes to mind. Is that the one that you want people to maybe read ahead on?
I think the ulterior question when people are thinking about this is why does God allow suffering? If you think of suffering and you think of the Bible, here's one cat for you.
That
He
was
made his
perfect.
appearance.
Suffering, Bible, cat. I'm
Cat.
with you.
Yep.
Yep, just trying to keep up with you guys in the talking and everything. But the
You're
book
doing
would
great.
be Job.
Job, yeah.
If how can you think of suffering and not think of Job?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
if you don't know his story, you should get to know his story. We'll at least mention that there's so many examples or different sections that we could go through in the Bible
Hmm.
that tie to this, but I think it's digging into really the topic of suffering
Yeah.
in this is kind of like the ulterior motive behind the question when people ask. So we're going to try and unpack
Mm,
that.
nice.
Nice.
And
That's my teaser for you.
may I recommend that if anybody's planning to read Job or most things in the Old Testament, maybe buy yourself some flowers or a cookie just to brighten your day up a little bit because it really is. It's tough to read through. And then there's also the story of Old Testament Joseph, not
Yep.
not Jesus's stepdad, right? But the Old
Right.
Testament Joseph out of Genesis 50. We talked a little bit about that before the show.
Yep.
And that's a reference of someone that man, he had one of these lives, right? It was up and down and up and down and up and down and
Yeah. Yeah.
all over. He had some suffering as well. Um, so yeah, any other thoughts on what we'll be talking about with God and his position on suffering and pain and good and bad people? That's a lot to pack into
Mm.
uh,
There's a
a
lot to
message.
try and unpack with that. Yeah. So I think that's good. I mean, the story of Joseph is a great example of how God sees more than we do, and he
Hmm.
sees further than we do. So that's another part of what we'll be talking about. So I
Awesome.
think that's all I have, really. I just,
And I gotta say, I'm really excited, Amy, because I know you and I have talked about this quite extensively, and Jim, I think you and I have too. Uh, the lack of answer or lack of good answer to that question, why does God allow evil, or any way you could put that question, why does God allow suffering? Does God, how could a loving God send condemned people to hell? It's all is kind of the same question, and I think there's going to be there's an answer, there's a biblical answer, but again, non-Christians, non-believers, that's not acceptable. And I think there's a lot of people, to put the pressure on you, Amy, there's a lot of people that are banking their salvation on the fact that they don't like the answer to that question.
Hmm.
And so we want, obviously we love everybody, and I know that no matter, you're going to do an astounding job. I know that for sure. There's some people that won't accept the answer,
Hmm.
which is sad. And those are the people that we're going to pray for hardest, because God can change their minds. He can change their heart.
Amen. So a couple things that are coming up. First off, let's all show up this weekend. I'm excited to see everyone. Now I won't be in Fargo on Saturday, but I will be in Bismarck on Sunday, and looking forward to seeing you, Amy, and Karl. Anybody else that wants to come in, I'm
Okay.
excited for that. And then later down the road, December 7th, we want to talk
Right.
about this. This is
Oh yeah.
exciting. December 7th in Fargo. We're
Mhm.
calling it the Sunday Revival at
Yep. Sunday
7
revival.
p.m. Sunday Revival, 7 p.m. And this may be a recurring thing. Do I understand that?
Yep. We're going to
Uh,
start off with it being once a month,
mhm,
so we can kind of plan for to make it more of an event type.
mhm,
Not that services aren't events, they are, but this is kind of out of the norm, and we can, those people that maybe are busy on Sunday
mm,
mornings or still sleeping in or whatever. This just gives them another opportunity, and it's going to be more music based, like a revival when you think revival,
mm.
and there's
Ooh,
going to be
you're gonna need more
snacks.
tambourines. You got to have a
Yep,
lot of
tambourine,
tambourines. Yeah.
cowbell, we got it all. So yeah, and we're still in the planning,
Hmm.
still planning, but we know the date, we know the time, we know the building. So we've
Excellent.
got
That's in
the big
Fargo.
things. I think we got
Yeah.
the big things covered.
And we're working on some other ideas. There's
Yeah,
a possibility. Well, one thing that we want to also mark on calendars, there's a ladies in Bismarck. There's a ladies Bible study that happens. The first one is happening right now,
I
actually.
think it is right now. Yep.
Yeah, and if you're interested, it's called GPS. And if you're interested in Bismarck, you could talk to Pam. She's Pam with the frizzy red hair. You can't miss her. So, or if you
Yep.
have
Curly
questions,
red
you can
hair.
ask the ladies. They'll be happy to talk more about that. In Fargo on Wednesday nights
Yep.
at the church is the what is the group called?
Fellowship group.
The fellowship group that happens
Fellowship group. Yep.
Wednesdays at 6
6:30.
6:30 also. All
Yep.
right.
6:30.
And in Bismarck, we also have the men's group, the ordained leaders. We get together 6:30 on Thursdays. So
Yeah.
some opportunities to connect with folks
Mhm.
outside of the regular service times. And we're also coming up, just as another side note. How many side notes can you actually have in a
I think it's unlimited.
unlimited?
Unlimited
Okay,
segments.
good. All right, I'll make sure. I've got to check with the rules and regulations of podcasts to make sure we're not
Okay.
violating anything. But I think podcasts are actually all about sidetracks. So, uh, what were we talking about?
Sidetracks.
Yeah,
Side notes. Side notes. You're
something else
talking about
coming up.
coming up, and I think you're probably going to mention Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. I'm
Yes,
guessing.
let's talk about Christmas Eve. That was one, and
Okay.
that's happening Christmas Eve. Do we have a
Yep.
date yet? Sorry.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, I
That's one
believe
of those floaters, right?
probably the 24th of December. Let's
Yeah.
lock it in. Can we lock it in
Let's
for
do it.
this year,
24th of
December
December,
24th? Okay.
4:30, both locations, 4:30.
4:30, both
Yep.
locations. And it's another one of those that we're working out the fine details, but what I can tell you is you show up and you're going to get to have fellowship and
Yeah.
spend more time with family, which we all appreciate. And if I remember right, it's in kind of like the middle of the week, right? So we get it.
Wednesday. I think it is Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. So that's perfect. Otherwise, yeah, I'm sure there was something else that'll come to me after we're done recording, but
Okay.
those are the big ones. Amy, anything else that you've thought of that's coming up or you wanted to share with the viewers?
Nothing really. I mean, I know we're working on a serve project idea, so I just don't have the details on that yet, but it is coming. Hopefully, we're hoping maybe to have details by Saturday or by the weekend to kind of share it with everybody then.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to that for sure. And as we wind down, Pastor
Yep.
Karl, any final thoughts?
I do have a final thought. It goes back to what we talked about this last weekend and we kind of touched on it lately here, contradictions,
Mm,
and how can we trust the Bible? And so I want to combine a couple different things. We've been talking about how can Jesus be the only way? How can we believe Jesus? Does God exist? And I think we've been really answering those questions really, really well. And they all flow into what I feel is the next question. And so what I would like to challenge people to do, and I wish I could say it'll only take you 10 minutes, but if you spend 10 minutes a morning, it'll take you 4 mornings, read through Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, with
ooh,
what we call the Gospels.
yeah.
And I promise you, when you commit to doing that, no matter where you're at in your maturity or your walk with Jesus, your relationship with Jesus, I guarantee things will be revealed to you. Some questions will be raised. Dig in and find the answers,
Mm.
and you always come out on the other end closer and stronger in your faith. So I just want to challenge everyone to do that. I want to say 10 minutes a morning. It'll take you 4 mornings. If it's 15 sue me. If it's 11, I'm within the realm. But that's my challenge is those four books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Whatever order you want, doesn't matter.
Always a good time to do that. So yeah, I like it, and I will commit myself to doing that for sure. So I appreciate the challenge and accept it for sure. So
Excellent.
that's all we have for this time around. Thank you for joining us, Amy and Karl. Thanks for your time as always, and for everybody that watches this and watches for it to come out each week. We really do appreciate that you take the time to share in what we're talking about here, and we encourage you to comment online or in person or continue this conversation among all of the family. That's really what it's all about here. So that's it for now. God bless, and we'll see you soon.